Well, advances in technology have created a world of opportunities right now to work from home, just like we're doing now, and virtual learning as well. But it's also allowed hackers to invade our online presence. In this segment, Andreas White Murdaugh spoke with an expert about what they had to say about staying safe.
Virtual learning became quickly inevitable these days, and so are the risks that electronic devices may bring. Today, Jake Kouns, CEO of Risk-Based Security, joins us to discuss computer security and virtual learning. Hi, Jake.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. So this is a really interesting and very necessary conversation as we think about the quick, swift, and forced transition to virtual learning and what that means for families. You know, parents may have been working from home for a while, but now we're kind of at this surface level where it is, let's get them online, get them what they need, and less maybe of the how do we keep them safe in the process. So your company has been studying this quite a bit to see how virtual has changed the landscape. Tell us what you found out.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I know it's a unique start of the school year for many families, and a lot of the focus has just been surviving, trying to figure out how to make things work, how to get online and know about this new technology. And just like with everything in the world these days, you're trying to make things work, and you're not always thinking right up front about the security aspects of things. And unfortunately, when school came to an abrupt halt early in springtime in March, we started to see some problems, especially as classes were transitioning to the virtual meetings just like this. We were seeing things where what we call malicious people, whether they're trying to do something for financial gain or they're just trying to get a laugh, unfortunately, or just cause havoc, were entering into classrooms and causing problems. They were calling it Zoom bombing, right? And so for the most part, not everyone even knew what Zoom was until these virtual classes came on, but we were seeing all kinds of problems that were impacting. And so we started to see these problems early on, and now with school starting back up, we're starting to see that cybersecurity has not been at the top of everyone's mind, and it needs to be.
Definitely. And you really start the process with investigating. So how do families make sure that they have at least started the process and the conversation about how to keep their networks and devices safe?
Yeah, what we learned was a lot of schools, particularly here in Central Virginia, have been they're working hard, and you got to give them, each school district, a lot of credit for this. They've been trying to make the technology work. They've been trying to provide devices to students so they can get online. What we found was that a lot of the secondary schools and high schools had previously deployed Windows laptops. And so when the pandemic started, those laptops, they weren't really recollected. They were just sort of held with the students, and therefore, hey, when school starts back up, they'll just use those same laptops. And what we found is that those laptops had not been getting those monthly security updates to get those fixes. And it became very concerning because this year has been really bad for vulnerabilities so far. We've seen a lot of vulnerabilities in software that's coming out that could allow someone to remotely break in, if you will, and compromise a laptop. With webcams turned on, with all these things happening, it became a big concern that we needed to figure out a way to alert the school district so that they could hopefully get plans to figure out how to update these laptops to make them secure before school really gets underway.
Yeah, definitely. And so there are certainly risks associated. You covered some of those. Are there other risks we should be thinking about? And, you know, as we think about the consequences of not handling those risks, where do we go from here to try to eliminate them?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think anytime you think about a device, whether it's a laptop or anything else that you have, it does need to be maintained properly, because there's these vulnerabilities coming out constantly, right? So it's not you do it one time and then you're done. It's an unfortunate, a routine thing that you have to be a part of. And so our concerns have been that these devices not being maintained would get compromised. Again, with webcams turning on and many families using bedrooms as a sort of a doubling as a schoolroom, you know, we wanted to make sure that would reduce the chances of these really unfortunate people that think they want to do some of these things, gaining access to machines and hopefully not spying on children in their rooms and things of that nature.
So what would you say are the best ways or the top recommendations that you have, not only for the schools, but also for the parents in order to eliminate these things? Because virtual learning also has some incredible benefits to it. So while there's certainly responsibilities and the need to be vigilant in this, there are also ways that we can make it feasible for young people to learn effectively this way.
Well, a lot of the things that we're seeing so far are these, what they're called trolls or pranks, where people are joining meetings and just disrupting classrooms and things of that nature. We're also seeing some of these things where people are calling what called denial of services, where they try to disrupt so that teachers can't even teach. So really, when you think about how these attacks are occurring, that allows you to start thinking as a school district, what should I do? And then as a parent. So what I would say is that, first of all, technology can be overwhelming to anyone, whether you're in the school district or parent. Don't be overwhelmed, but you need to take this stuff very, very seriously. So passwords tend to still be the biggest problem, right? If a teacher is sharing classes with passwords and they don't change, or somehow they get leaked, this is a way that people are getting in. And then once they get in, they can just cause that havoc by sending inappropriate messages to students and content and all these sort of disruptions. So I think, look, if we break it down to what are some positive things to do, don't be overwhelmed, but take it seriously. You got to talk with the kids about cybersecurity issues. If something goes wrong, it's okay. They need to let a parent or a teacher know. Many kids will feel like they've done something wrong and they're in trouble. That's not the case. We need to reassure them. But the basic security principles that we teach everyone, right? That's what we want to make sure. Don't click on links that come through emails. We have virtual backgrounds, right? Be wary of these webcams, where they're pointed and what they're doing. Don't overshare things. And if any time you're unsure, ask for help. Friends, family, and other folks are more than willing to help. Now's not the time to panic, but do some research and make sure you understand the issues that we're facing with virtual schooling.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing this information, for the research that you're doing, for helping the school districts through, what is an exciting yet challenging time. I know we're all going to get to a great place with this, but we appreciate the folks like you who are really helping us stay abreast of everything that needs to be considered, not only with just getting the information to the learners, but also keeping the learners safe virtually. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
For those of you interested in learning more about Mr. Kouns and risk-based security, make sure you visit our website at wtbr.com/VTM.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I think
it's interesting that we're there, and I just, I have a friend who has a 9-year-old and they're doing class virtually, and somebody hacked in while the teacher was talking, which was bad enough. And it was really not something the kids should have seen. But the teacher was like, all right, everybody out and we'll come back in an hour and blah, blah. But what about, it didn't occur to me that it could happen when the kids are watching a lesson and there's no teacher involved and there's nobody to say, wait, that's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. It's hard to even let that sink in, Jess.
it's incredible because all of this is happening real time. And I know that seems kind of like an understatement, but we're going through this development and implementation of the virtual learning in real time, and everybody's doing the best they can. And, you hear that adage all the time of, if only that malfeasance could be directed towards good, imagine what could come out of that. But the reality is, and it's incredible because we hear this every time we share these insights of protecting yourself, change the passwords. But even in that instance, like your friend that had the hacking incident in the child's classroom, it's not a password they can control. So it's something for the broader good to be aware of.
Yeah. And of course, you and I don't think about stuff like that because you and I don't think like that. And, I always think about the old analogy. It's like the speed limit's there for people who don't pay attention to the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there for those of us who are following the laws. And the same applies here. It's just, you know, another thing that we have to learn, if you don't mind the pun.
Yeah, that's true. And I think right now, it may not have been something we were diligent about before, but right now, in these times, this is something that we want to make top of mind. So have to shift gears.
Yeah, okay, and get ready for it because it's the world we live in. And we hope you'll stay with us because we're going to return right back after a real quick break.